I told you to stay away from her. You can't tell me what to do. This isn't over.
The Sands Hotel ballroom fell silent. 300 guests, Hollywood's biggest names, casino moguls, politicians, all stared at the stage where Frank Sinatra stood, microphone in hand, his icy blue eyes fixed on one man in the audience. Dean Martin sat frozen at his table, champagne glass halfway to his lips. His trademark smile had vanished. You know what Dean's problem is? Sinatra's voice cut through the silence like a razor. He thinks talent is enough. But without loyalty, without respect, you're nothing but a drunk with a microphone. The words hung in the air like poison. Dean's hands trembled. His olive skin turned pale. The chairman of the board had just destroyed his best friend in front of everyone who mattered in Las Vegas. But what happened in the next 10 minutes would change everything. Because Dean Martin didn't get angry. He didn't storm out. What he did instead brought Frank Sinatra to his knees, begging for forgiveness in front of the same crowd. If this story about friendship, betrayal, and redemption grabbed your attention, hit that subscribe button right now. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been publicly humiliated by someone you trusted? Your story might become our next video. The Rat Pack Glory Days. Las Vegas, 1964. The city of sin was ruled by 5 men who drank together, performed together, and owned every stage they touched. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop, the Rat Pack. They weren't just entertainers. They were legends who packed the Sands Hotel night after night. Women fainted. Men bought rounds of drinks they couldn't afford, just hoping to catch their attention. The shows were wild jokes, songs, and chaos that made millions of dollars. Dean Martin, born Dino Crocetti in Steubenville, Ohio, was the smooth one. That lazy, charming smile. The voice like warm whiskey. He made everything look effortless. His hit songs, That's Amore, and Everybody Loves Somebody, played on every radio in America. Frank Sinatra was different. Born in Hoboken, New Jersey, Francis Albert Sinatra clawed his way to the top with raw talent and iron will. He didn't just sing, he commanded. When Sinatra walked into a room, everyone noticed. When he spoke, people listened. When he got angry, people disappeared. Their friendship started in the early 1950s when both were rebuilding their careers. Frank's movie career was dead. Dean was stuck doing comedy clubs with Jerry Lewis, feeling like the sidekick who'd never break free. They connected over late-night drinks, shared struggles, and a mutual understanding that they were better than the world gave them credit for. By 1960, they were unstoppable. The Rat Pack shows at the Sands became the hottest ticket in America. They'd film Ocean's 11 during the day, then perform at night, drinking and laughing until dawn. Frank loved Dean's cool, laid-back style. Dean appreciated Frank's fierce loyalty and protection. But beneath the laughter, something was brewing. The cracks began to show. Frank Sinatra ran the Rat Pack like a general commands an army. Everything was his way or no way. Showtimes, song choices, even which jokes could be told, Sinatra controlled it all. Most of the time Dean went along. He was too cool to fight, too talented to care about petty power games. But by late 1963, things started changing. Dean's solo career was exploding. His records outsold Frank's. His NBC variety show pulled huge ratings. Movie studios wanted Dean Martin, not just the Rat Pack. For the first time, Dean didn't need Frank Sinatra. Frank noticed. How could he not? Dean started missing rehearsals. He'd show up late to shows, still drunk from the night before. During performances, he'd crack jokes that weren't in the script, stealing laughs that Frank had carefully planned. The audience loved it. Frank hated it. Dean thinks he's bigger than the group now, Frank told Sammy Davis Jr. one night after a show. He forgets who made him. The tension exploded on March 7, 1964. The night everything changed. The Sands Hotel was packed that Saturday night. 300 VIP guests filled the Copa Room for a special Rat Pack reunion show. Hollywood executives sat beside politicians and mob bosses. Everyone who mattered in American entertainment was there. Dean arrived an hour late. His tuxedo was wrinkled. His breath smelled like Jack Daniels. Frank was furious, pacing backstage like a caged tiger. "Where the hell were you?" Frank grabbed Dean's arm. Dean just smiled that lazy smile. "Relax, Frank. The show doesn't start without me anyway." That smile, that casual dismissal, lit a fuse that had been burning for months. The show started normally. Frank sang "Luck Be a Lady." Sammy brought down the house with "I've Got You Under My Skin." Then Dean stumbled onto stage, martini glass in hand, and the crowd roared. But Frank wasn't laughing anymore. The public humiliation begins. 20 minutes into the show, Frank suddenly stopped the music. The band went silent. The audience looked confused. "You know what?" Frank said into his microphone, his voice carrying that dangerous edge everyone in Vegas knew to fear. "I think we need to talk about something." Dean, halfway through a song, looked over with confusion. "Frank, what are you doing?" "I'm talking about respect, Dean." Frank walked across the stage, his footsteps echoing through the now silent ballroom. "Something you seem to have forgotten." The audience shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't part of the act. This was real. Dean Martin. Frank said the name like it tasted bitter. The man who shows up whenever he feels like it. The man who thinks his solo success means he doesn't need the people who built him up. Dean's smile faded. His olive complexion turned pale. 300 pairs of eyes watched him squirm. "You think you're too good for us now, don't you?" Frank continued, his voice rising. "You got your TV show, your hit records, your movie contracts. But let me tell you something, Dean. Without me, without this group, you'd still be singing in dive bars in Ohio." Someone in the audience gasped. Sammy Davis Jr. looked horrified. Peter Lawford stared at his shoes. No one knew where to look. Dean stood frozen at the microphone, his martini glass trembling in his hand. The room felt like it was shrinking, the walls pressing in. Every face stared at him, judging, pitying, waiting to see what the great Dean Martin would do. The weight of shame. Dean's mind raced back through 20 years of friendship. All the late nights Frank had been there when Dean's marriage fell apart. The times Frank used his influence to get Dean better movie roles. The way Frank defended him when critics called him nothing but a pretty face with a decent voice. But Dean also remembered the control. The way Frank decided everything. The subtle put-downs disguised as jokes. How Frank would get angry if Dean got more applause. The jealousy that festered beneath the loyalty. "Frank, come on," Dean finally managed, his voice barely a whisper through the speakers. "This isn't the time. This is exactly the time." Frank cut him off. "You want to know what Dean's problem is?" He turned to address the audience now, like a prosecutor making his case. "He thinks talent is enough. But without loyalty, without respect, you're nothing but a drunk with a microphone." The words hit like a physical blow. Dean's hand gripped the microphone stand to steady himself. A few people in the audience looked away, embarrassed to witness this destruction of a friendship. Joey Bishop tried to step in, cracking a joke to lighten the mood, but Frank shot him a look that froze him in place. "I've watched you, Dean," Frank continued, his voice now dropping to that intimate, dangerous tone he used in his darkest songs. "Watched you take everything this group gave you and treat it like garbage. Show up late. Miss rehearsals. Act like the rules don't apply to you because you're Dean Martin." Dean's eyes glistened. Not with anger, with shame. The martini glass in his hand shook, ice cubes clinking together in the devastating silence. The breaking point. "You know what hurts the most?" Frank stepped closer to Dean now, speaking directly to him but still into his microphone, making sure every word carried to every corner of the room. "I defended you. When the studio wanted to drop you from Robin and the Seven Hoods, I fought for you. When the Sands wanted to cut your percentage, I threatened to walk. And this is how you repay loyalty." Dean opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. What could he say? Everything Frank said had some truth to it. He had been late. He had been careless. He had taken the friendship for granted, assuming Frank would always be there. Always understanding, always loyal. "You've got nothing to say?" Frank laughed, but there was no humor in it. The smooth-talking Dean Martin speechless? "Maybe you should stick to singing other people's words, since you can't find any of your own." The audience was dead silent now. A few people stood up to leave, unable to watch anymore. But most stayed, frozen in horrified fascination. Sammy Davis Jr. finally stood up from the piano. "Frank, that's enough. Sit down, Sammy." Frank didn't even look at him. His eyes stayed locked on Dean. Dean's knuckles were white on the microphone stand. His jaw clenched. The martini glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the stage, glass and liquid spreading across the polished wood. For a moment, everyone thought Dean would break. That he'd storm off stage, their friendship destroyed forever. The Rat Pack finished. 2 decades of brotherhood ended in one brutal 10 minutes. The unexpected response. But Dean Martin didn't run. He didn't yell back. He didn't throw a punch, though God knows Frank deserved one. Instead, Dean did something completely unexpected. He started laughing. Not a bitter laugh. Not a sarcastic laugh. A genuine deep belly laugh that echoed through the Copa room like thunder. Frank's expression changed from anger to confusion. "What's so funny?" Dean bent over, hands on his knees, laughing so hard tears streamed down his face. The audience didn't know what to think. Had he snapped? Was this a breakdown disguised as humor? "You know what's funny, Frank?" Dean finally straightened up, wiping his eyes. His voice carried clearly through the ballroom now, strong and steady. "I just realized something. After all these years, I finally understand you." Frank's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" "You're scared." Dean said it simply, matter-of-factly. "You're terrified." The room held its breath. Terrified of what? Frank's voice had lost some of its edge. Of being alone. Dean walked across the stage, closing the distance between them. "You're Frank Sinatra, chairman of the board." The voice. "You've got everything: money, fame, power. But you can't stand the thought of the people around you not needing you anymore." Frank's face went pale. "The truth comes out. I'm not your enemy, Frank." Dean's voice was gentle now, almost tender. "I never was. But you're right about one thing. I have been disrespectful. Not to you, but to myself." He turned to address the audience, his natural charisma taking over. "See, I've spent 20 years trying to be what Frank needed. The loyal friend. The sidekick who doesn't outshine the star. The guy who laughs at the jokes and follows the rules and shows up when he's told." Dean paused, letting the words sink in. "But you know what I forgot? I forgot that I'm Dean Martin. I don't need anyone to make me. I was talented when we met, Frank. I was funny. I could sing. All you did was give me a bigger stage." Frank opened his mouth to respond, but Dean kept going. "And that's not nothing, Frank. That's huge. I'm grateful. But gratitude doesn't mean I have to make myself smaller so you feel bigger." The audience started nodding. Some even murmured agreement. The tide was turning. "You want to know why I've been late? Why I've been careless?" Dean's voice grew stronger. "Because I'm exhausted, Frank. Exhausted from trying to be perfect for you. Exhausted from walking on eggshells, worried that if I shine too bright, you'll feel dim." The moment that changed everything. Dean walked back to Frank, standing face to face with him now. The two men who'd ruled Vegas together. Brothers who'd become strangers. "I love you, Frank," Dean said quietly, and the microphones barely caught it. "You're my brother. But I can't keep sacrificing who I am just to make you comfortable." Then Dean did something that shocked everyone in the room. He hugged Frank Sinatra. Frank stood rigid, arms at his sides, completely unprepared for this response. He'd expected anger, defensiveness, maybe a shouting match. But not this. Not love in the face of cruelty. "I'm sorry I've been a lousy friend lately," Dean whispered, still holding Frank. "But you're sorry too, aren't you? Sorry that you just tried to destroy me in front of everyone we know." Frank's arms slowly, hesitantly, came up to return the embrace. His voice cracked when he spoke. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did," Dean said. "But it's okay. We both screwed up." When they pulled apart, Frank Sinatra had tears running down his face. The chairman of the board, the man who never showed weakness, was crying in front of 300 people. "I was scared," Frank admitted, his voice breaking. "Scared that if you didn't need me anymore, you'd leave. And I couldn't handle that." The ballroom was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The apology. Frank Sinatra dropped to one knee on the stage. The great Frank Sinatra, on his knees in the Sands Hotel Copa room, in front of senators, movie stars, and casino bosses. "I'm sorry, Dean," Frank said, his voice raw with emotion. "I'm sorry for every word I just said. You didn't deserve that. You're not just talented, you're brilliant. And you didn't become successful because of me. You became successful because you're Dean Martin." Dean pulled Frank back to his feet. Get up, you idiot. You're embarrassing both of us. The tension broke. People laughed, real laughter now, not nervous titters. The two men stood there, arms around each other's shoulders, and the audience erupted in applause. Sammy Davis Jr. jumped back on stage. Well, that was quite a show. Can we please get back to the singing now? The band started playing. Frank and Dean launched into the boys' night out, their voices blending perfectly, and the show continued like the last 15 minutes hadn't just happened. But everything had changed. After that night, Frank and Dean's friendship evolved. They were never quite as close as before. Some wounds take time to heal, but there was a new respect between them. Frank learned to celebrate Dean's success instead of resenting it. Dean learned to communicate better instead of just checking out. The Rat Pack continued for a few more years, but the dynamic had shifted. It was less about Frank controlling everything and more about 5 talented men supporting each other. When Dean eventually left to focus on his TV show and movie career full-time, Frank threw him a party instead of a tantrum. They remained friends until Dean's death in 1995. Frank attended the funeral, quietly sitting in the back, tears streaming down his face as he mourned the man who taught him that real friendship means celebrating each other's light, not dimming it to feel brighter. The lesson from this story isn't just about 2 famous singers in the 1960s. It's about every relationship you have. Friendships, family, co-workers, romantic partners. Real strength isn't about making others feel small so you can feel big. Frank Sinatra learned this the hard way. He had all the power, all the fame, but his insecurity nearly destroyed the most important friendship in his life. True loyalty doesn't mean losing yourself. Dean Martin could have kept making himself smaller, kept showing up late as a passive-aggressive rebellion, kept drinking to numb the resentment. Instead, he found the courage to speak his truth with love. The strongest response to cruelty is sometimes grace. ***, Dean didn't fight fire with fire. He didn't destroy Frank back. He responded with honesty, vulnerability, and ultimately forgiveness. That's what brought Frank to his knees, not anger but love. In your own life, when someone tries to humiliate you, remember Dean Martin. Stand tall. Speak your truth. Don't shrink to make insecure people comfortable. And if you're the one who's been acting like Frank, controlling, jealous, trying to keep people small, it's never too late to apologize and change. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We share powerful stories about courage, redemption, and standing up for yourself every week. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? How did you handle it? Your experience might inspire someone else who's struggling with the same choice. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we don't have to dim our light to make others comfortable. The stage lights at the Sands Hotel eventually went dark. The Rat Pack era ended. But the lesson from that March night in 1964 lives on. Real friendship celebrates success, not resents it. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stand firm in who you are, with love and without apology.